Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Echo Tools YouTube page. My name is Ryan Cook. Now that you've learned a little bit about me, let's see why we're here. So, if you haven't seen these videos yet, make sure you catch up on the first two because you're gonna need the letters. But here, check out this to see the rules. Here's what you must do. Number one, like each video and subscribe to Echo's YouTube page. Look out for the secret letter that'll appear in every video to form a secret word at the end. Number three, on the final episode, number 6, comment with the secret word. So now that we're caught up with the rules of the competition, this is the third video and we are going to start carving. For the next 4 videos, we're going to go through the process of blocking, form, detail, and then kind of finish everything up with the final touches and just a little bit of talking about Echo Tools and the product and the chance to win that 2511 for the final letter. So we're gonna use in every video a different saw, maybe 2 every single one, doesn't matter. But for this one, I'm gonna use the CS620P moving forward. Let's talk about blocking. So come on over here and we're gonna look at where we're gonna make our first cuts and I'm gonna explain why we're gonna make them. Now, for me, I think about the head, right? Everything kind of comes at you. If you were to put your hands like this to your face, you know, sometimes you think, oh man, it's gonna be, look at the angle. That's the angle of my face. So now a bear, it's a little bit different. If you look at a bear, this is one of my references. You look at the bear face. Now, that's basically this cut right here and that cut right here. You're doing a V and then you'll shape it out as we go. I'm going to show you what kind of cuts I like to do for my first 2 cuts for a bear head. And now let's look at the log, right? So you look on the log and you can do this with any scale log. Any scale log, if it's a square, like a fence post, 6x6s, 8x8s, 12x12s, you can do the same thing. You just have to imagine where it is. So like for me, I'm thinking this will be kind of where the nose is. But I'm gonna do this cut first, maybe even wider, depending on how you would like your bear head to be. So right away, I know these are gonna be my first 2 cuts. Then I'm gonna come across and start cutting down for the back of the head. And then I'll notch in the ears. So we'll go through these first few cuts. And once we do that, then we can kind of start talking about the next ones. But my first 3 cuts are always the same. Actually, my first 5 cuts are always the same. I go cut, 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 and then shape, cut, notch in the ears, and then cut away the ears. And then we'll focus on the snout. The snout, and then the head, and where we're gonna put everything in layers. So hopefully you're following me so far, but once you get this repetition down, you're able to do that almost every time, and you can really use it into almost all different animals, because if you think about it, we are all made of bones, and aside from, you know, octopus and a few other things that are exoskeletons, but the majority of mammals all have the same bones. And when you're carving, that's what you need to think about. Think about the bones. Think about then the muscles that lay on top of the bones, and then we'll think about the fur. So I'm always thinking about those 3 things when I start to think of an animal, whether it's a horse or an owl or a hummingbird or an eagle, whatever it is. But right now we're focusing on bears. So we're gonna start with the blocking, and in the blocking, you're thinking shapes. So that's where we're going with this. We're gonna fire up. I'm gonna put on my gear. In the next scene, we're gonna just show you how we do it. Now, I wanna talk about one thing. One thing to think about when you're making your first cut, all right? So you're not just like running it across or like hoping to, you know, help it along. You want your saw to do the work. So make sure you got a nice sharp chain, but you can hold the saw and then guide it with your hands here. You know what I'm saying? So when you're sitting there and you're making this first cut, I can feel the pressure whether I'm pushing or pulling. So I'm gonna cut like this, and then I'm gonna begin to ease my wrist out. I'm gonna use my wrist right here and start to edge it out and pull that bar up, which is gonna give it a kind of a swooping cut. And if you've never made a cut like that, that's kind of where you wanna start to kind of feel your bar. So you're not just doing firewood where you cut straight down and you're doing that. A lot of the times you're guiding the bar. You're like moving and grooving with the wood. And that is something that carving is so important for me, because I think that, you know, movement and flow is such an important part of carving. So here we go. Okay guys, so I've got everything sorted. I switched over to my Echo jacket. Make sure you're safe, check your area, make sure everything's clean. You know, one quick thing you think about carving, there's a guy named Chris Boltz who was my mentor. Carving and you got a big mess, take a few minutes. If you're running into trouble and you have like brain fog of carving and you're not inspired, clean your area. But in my carving zone where I am now, it's spotless, it's safe, and at the same time now I can just not think about where I'm stepping. I can think about using my saw and cutting into it properly. So let's go, here we go. Any log will work, whether it's big or small, just think scale, and then this block out technique. So. Now you see how I started to pull there? I pulled here and I kind of pushed here and twisted my wrist. That's what we're gonna do for the other side, but that's kind of how you can control your saw while you're cutting. We're gonna put in the ear, so I'd say like maybe here we'll do an ear. So we're just gonna do a little cut on an angle to set in where the ear is gonna go. So for this one, when you're doing these types of cuts, for me personally, you could go like this and use your bar and come down like this. You could make the cut very simple. And use your bar. You could do it both ways, boom, boom. But for me, I will do I'll use the top of the bar to do the cutting. It's a little bit different of a cut. You have to be very careful not to use the tip. But for the body of this part, I'm gonna cut the majority here. I think it would technically be called an upcut, but it's an easier way for me to connect this cut to this cut and follow the lines that we've already done. So there we go. You can already see where we're going here with two cuts. This is a little bit steep, but I'm doing this for dramatic effect, and also at the same time we still have to put in the snout and where the forehead is. This is gonna be a happy bear, so. I'm thinking the center line. The center line is where we need to be right now, because where's the nose, where's the eyes? This is where it's gonna be, right here. So this is too wide. A bear's mouth is never that wide. So with those few cuts, you can now see we've kind of started to block out our bear. Now, I always think about different layers and different spots for the bear's fur patterns to go. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, how am I gonna connect this, and this, and then a neck? Don't forget about the neck. Got snout, forehead, ears. Now, I'm gonna set in here. I'm gonna come over top. I'm gonna drop my saw over here. And to do is I like to find a way to make the ears connect down to the cheekbones, the bottom of the mouth, right, like here. Then I use the back of the ears and the fur line to make the neck to the chest to where the shoulders will be. But for now, we still have to separate the ears. Okay, so now you've seen I've just shaped out the ears a little bit and I put in the notches right here, just a down cut to where I'm gonna make the neck. Now, when I do that, I'm gonna plunge through and then I'm gonna create kind of the idea of where the shoulder's gonna be. Okay, so you see how we just did that? That instantly shows you, okay, I got my arms here, I got my butt here, and then I got the base. Make sure you leave a big enough base in whatever size scale you want to do your piece in, because if it's too small, it's gonna break. Let's get this little guy rocking out. And then that I think will be the end of this video because I think this is gonna be a long video and we're just getting started. Okay, one thing to think about, if you're doing a closed mouth bear, and this is the top of your snout, you could probably cut it like right here and just come straight down on a slight angle and then cut it and then you could taper it in. If you're doing an open mouth bear, which is what we are going to do here, we're making kind of that happy character bear, the mouth of the bear drops down and if you really look, or you know what, I'll just pop up a picture of a real grizzly bear. There's one. You can see how its mouth draws down and the jawline draws down. So it's about here that I could probably get away with it. So I'm gonna cut it out here and then taper it in that way. And then we'll set in the mouth. Okay, so that is pretty much where we're gonna go with this video for today. This is what we wanted to do. We've shaped out, we've got the little separation here, you see from the ear to here. We'll be able to cut all that out, cut this out, and we'll be able to make this a nice, happy bear. Let's talk about the ending because we need to now give the letter. So the secret letter is V. Now, we are going to finish blocking out this piece next time, and then we're gonna do the body, we're gonna do the furring, and kind of move through it a little faster because the block out of the head is the most important part. We have that now. Now we're gonna move into form. I'm gonna shape out the rest of the body. We'll talk about that in the next video. And then after that, we'll do the furring. Welcome to carving. Welcome to Echo Tools YouTube page. Make sure if you want to win, you got to like and subscribe to the page and hopefully you can win. Thank you. Yee!